podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This podcast is based on a radio show that aired all over the country in the Premier Radio Network Saturday, August 14th, 2021. This is episode 1819. By the way, August 14th, a very special day. Happy birthday, Steve. And now on with the show. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Hover. Whether you're a developer, photographer, or small business, Hover has something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. And by AT&T Active Armor. We rely so much on our phones these days and are always on them, whether it's live streaming content, catching up with family on weekly video calls, or watching your favorite podcast. There's no room for fraud calls. Thankfully, AT&T makes customer security a priority, helping block those pesky calls. It's not complicated. AT&T Active Armor, 24/7 proactive network security and fraud call blocking to help stop threats at no extra charge. Compatible device and service required. Visit att.com/activearmor for details. Well, hey, boo-boo. It's time for the Tech Guy Show. Leo Laporte here. I am your tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches. You know, the world of technology that is all around us, going cray-cray all the time, trying to figure out what the heck. If you want to, if you want to join the conversation, 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. That's how you get a hold of me. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Outside that area, you could still reach me, but it's a little more complicated. You have to use Skype or something like that to call a phone number. But since it's a toll free number, it shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. Happy birthday to the IBM PC. It turned 40 on Thursday. The original IBM personal computer came out August 12th, 1981. A skunkworks project from the big computer company. Personal computers up to that point were really small companies, little startups trying to make personal computers. Things like the MITS Altair, which was out of a little company in Albuquerque, New Mexico called MITS, that was making it. I think it was a kit originally, and then they I think you could buy it assembled at some of the early computer stores like the Byte Shop. And then Apple came along with the Apple I and then the Apple II in the late 70s. In fact, Apple very famously took out a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal when IBM announced its PC, saying, "Welcome, IBM." Seriously. Yeah, you know what? I think they were serious, even though Steve Jobs was no fan of Big Blue, as IBM was known, because they were, the stuffy, guys with little black ties and short sleeve white shirts with pocket protectors and little black glasses. They were the business nerds, and Steve was creating a hippie computer company with Apple. The technical name for the IBM PC, it was developed as a skunkworks project out of Boca Raton, Florida. That was like away from the headquarters, the IBM headquarters in Armonk, New York. They were off doing their own thing, and they did made some interesting choices. It was off the shelf hardware, kind of pretty stock, nothing special. They decided that they needed an operating system. Microsoft convinced them that they should be the ones to create the operating system. It's kind of a famous story of IBM coming out to a little Monterey company, digital research, that had been making something called DR-DOS for Apple computers, and said, we'd like you to make our operating system for IBM PC. And Gary Kildall, the founder of DR-DOS, was actually flying around. He was an avid amateur pilot, flying around. He couldn't be bothered to meet with the IBM guys, so they said, Well, never mind. And they went up to Redmond, Washington, a little company called Microsoft, which had done some stuff like BASIC for the original MITs out there. And they said, would you like to do it? Bill Gates, canny as ever, actually this might have been his first really canny deal, said, oh yeah, we've got something for you. Then sneakily went out and acquired a disk operating system for the chip that IBM was using, the 8088, from another company, Seattle DOS. They've never told them that what they were buying was going to be the operating system for what would be, as everybody expected, the biggest computer in history. Because once IBM put its might and muscle behind a personal computer, well, that means they're here, you know. Once the big iron company, the mainframe company said, yeah, personal computers, whoa, that was it. So Bill got it for a song, turned around, maybe, I don't know, they might have modified it slightly and sold it to IBM. But he did something else very smart. He said, I'll make you PC DOS, but I want to keep the rights to it. I'm not going to give it to you. I want the royalties. And IBM, not thinking this was going to be a big deal, said, yeah, sure, whatever you want. Whatever you want. Can't be, you know, how many computers, look at Commodore 64, how many computers have they sold? It's not going to be. So they made the deal, off-the-shelf hardware and software, and essentially an open architecture. The only thing that was unique to the IBM PC was its basic input-output system, the firmware that the computer loaded on boot. That was the compatibility later. If you could duplicate that, everything else you could buy, including, because of Bill Gates' canny deal, PC-DOS, which they called MS-DOS, if you bought it. Original IBM PC, the 5150, that was the name. Nobody remembers that. They just remember the IBM PC. Started at $1,565. That did not include a floppy disk. Those were actually pretty rare in the time. That included a cassette adapter, so you could hook up a cassette to it. If you wanted to load it up, more like $3,000. And that was when a dollar was really a dollar back in 1981. You could have high-resolution monochrome text if you wanted. Or if you were a Commodore type and you wanted color, you could get low-resolution graphics. Or you could have both. How much RAM? How much RAM do you think? It was an Intel 8088 CPU running at, I remember this, 4.77 megahertz. Mega, not giga. So that should give you some idea of RAM. Not gigabytes. Not even megabytes. We're talking kilobytes. The original IBM PC for $1,565 had 16 kilobytes of RAM. You could spend more and get 64 kilobytes. Ooh. And you could, if you had lots of money, buy a floppy disk. No hard drive. What's that? Hard drives are really expensive. I remember buying a 5 megabyte with an M hard drive in that era for $5,000. My boss bought it, not me. IBM also put their might behind something called the ISA bus, which allowed you to plug in cards. Didn't take very long before somebody figured out how to reverse engineer the BIOS, and the IBM compatibles were born. I think it was less than a year. And, of course, that whole industry took off. IBM discontinued the original PC in 6 years later, 1987. 1987. And remember the PC Junior? They followed it up with it. Terrible, terrible flop. Happy birthday, 40th birthday for the computer that, I know Apple did a lot, and Commodore and other companies, Atari. But it was really the IBM PC that made the personal computer revolution take off. And the fact that IBM said, yeah, we don't have to own this. We can make it an open architecture. That was really quite an interesting choice. Made a lot of money for Microsoft, too, by the way. The IBM PC. Happy birthday. Let me see, do I have enough time? I want to talk a little bit about something's going on that's kind of weird. You've heard of Zillow? There's another company that's doing the same thing called Open Door. Zillow you might know about because they were originally a place where you'd put up a map and you'd see what houses in your neighborhood were worth. Or if you were searching for houses, you'd go to Zillow. You're moving somewhere, and you would see the houses. Well, it's interesting because these two companies, Zillow and Open Door, are buying up houses. They're buying houses like crazy. They call it the iBuyer revolution. Why are they buying houses? Well, they think they can make money by buying them, flipping them, and then selling them back. They're not making a lot of money yet. Zillow just floated a $450 million bond offer to get the money to buy this. Open Door just went public via a SPAC, again, to get the cash to gobble up U.S. housing stock. iBuyers are gearing up. This is a story from Vice.com. iBuyers are gearing up to grow massively in the coming years with unforeseen consequences in the U.S. housing market. Rocket Homes, that's another one. They buy and flip. And even though they're buying a lot, Open Door bought 8,500 homes last quarter. There's still nothing compared to the overall housing market, but it's an interesting trend. Zillow is gearing up to buy a lot of houses in the rest of the year. So you might, if you put your house up for sale, you might be surprised to get an offer from Zillow or Open Door or Rocket Homes. Yeah, we'll buy it. They pay cash. They often, as kind of a sweetener, help you move, help you find another house. Zillow says they expect revenue of $1.5 billion next quarter. Revenue is not profit, remember. As with a lot of these companies, they expect to lose money for a while, but they also expect at some point to make money. Zillow's gross profit per home, according to the company, last quarter was $33,000. So, if you do 5,000 homes a month, pretty soon it starts to add up. What does it do to humans who are buying homes? I don't know. It's interesting. It might tighten the market a little bit, right? Of course, if you're selling, happy, joy. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536. There is something else you might want to remember. That's the website. This show has a website. We put the notes from the show there, techguylabs.com. I mentioned that because you don't have to write anything down while you're listening. No, by no means. That's what we have James DeRuvo for. He's writing everything down just so you don't have to. And the site is open. It's free. There's no sign up. Just go there and there's a good search and you can find whatever you want. If you're listening to this show, today's show, 1819, you can go to show 1819 and then it's hour by hour, segment by segment. You can find what you want. You can even leave comments, which would be nice. Somebody asked me, why don't you have comments on your YouTube channel? Because nobody has time to moderate those. There's a lot of spam and junk comments. So we just close comments there. But the website, go ahead. That's where you should leave the comments. If you have a better idea, you're listening and say, Leo, you're wrong. techguylabs.com. All you need to know is there. '88 Ask Leo. If you're ever in a bar and a guy says, hey, baby, can I have your number? Would you ever give him 88 Ask Leo?
Good idea. But that would mean I'd have to go to a bar.
Oh, you used to work in a bar, not anymore, huh?
No. And also, I'm not really going to bars right now.
Yeah, who would? That would be crazy talk.
I don't know. I just saw a concert with about 40,000 people.
Indoors?
Last night in Wisconsin.
Indoors?
No,
Wait a minute, you were in Wisconsin
last night? No, I
last
wasn't in
night?
Wisconsin. I saw pictures of it, but I don't know. It kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety.
We're going to see Billy Idol in a couple of weeks, but that's outdoors.
Where?
In Napa.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to go see Alanis Morissette. That's going to be... Huh?
Is
No,
that
it's not Bottle Rock.
Oh.
We're not going to. That's too crowded. That's a big festival.
Oh.
We're going, and I noticed, by the way, Stevie Nicks,
She dropped out?
she dropped out of all her concerts.
But they got a good replacement.
Who'd they get?
Chris Stapleton.
I don't know who that is.
It's the Tennessee whiskey guy. When when that song came
That's
out,
a good song.
the show sold out in like 5 seconds.
Yeah. And they got Guns N' Roses, or as my wife calls it, GNR.
Yeah. It's that era.
Yeah. Okay, fine. We're going to go see Alanis Morissette. That's going to be fun.
I didn't know she still performed.
Outdoors.
That's
I only go see old people. That's my thing.
That's high school for me.
Yeah, I know. And then John, the guy sitting across from you, our studio manager, and I have tickets to see a band in.
I'm going to.
Indoors.
In theory.
September 2nd. I don't think so.
I don't know. It's not looking too promising.
Well, they haven't canceled yet. Anyway,
not yet.
Who should I start this fine show
Let's go to
with?
San Diego. Rick's got I like Rick's question.
Okay.
He's an attorney.
Okay. Is that important? Should I know that before I give him advice?
No.
Am I?
It's just one of the things, like, how teachers have to buy school supplies for their students.
What do attorneys have to buy?
Maybe buy a projector for himself, because courtrooms aren't funded either.
You're kidding.
I know.
You're kidding.
I'm surprised too.
Hey, Rick. Thank you, Kim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You have to buy a projector for trials?
Well, I'm thinking about it. The traditional way is kind of old technology. They use this thing called an Elmo, but it's really a TV camera mounted above a platform. But you got to have a hard copy and throw it on the platform and focus it. I'd really love to be able to use my laptop with a projector.
I suppose the court will let you do that, but it certainly would be better than an Elmo. I guess an Elmo's good if you've got a 3D object, a rock, but not so good for a piece of paper, and especially if you've got it already digital. You just do it from your laptop. Does it need to be super portable, or?
Not super portable. I mean, no, it doesn't have to run on a battery.
Okay, you can plug it in.
Yeah, we can plug it in, but I'm trying to figure out. The court. They're not going to dim the courtroom.
You need bright.
Put something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's within a decent price range or not. I'm reading different things, and I really can't figure it out, so I called the master.
So one thing I would not get is a projector that has a bulb, for two reasons. One, you have to warm it up, and two, you have to cool it down after. Plus, it's going to have a big old fan. I just think these, and that's the old school projectors. They all have big bulbs in them. You want a laser or LED projector. Right. And there's quite a few choices, well under 500. I think Epson makes some excellent ones. You don't care.
Do I need, how many lumens do I need?
Yeah, that's a good, I was going to say, you don't really care about, it's beautiful color, because you're not showing a movie.
Right.
In fact, a lot of
we are showing photographs.
Okay, yeah, you want bright. I would say, so most projectors right now, they talk about lumens, but sometimes that's misleading. I'm not a fan of it because they're often talking about peak brightness, not what you see all the time. So, but I think, you want at least, you're probably talking about in the thousands for sure. I'm looking at an Epson projector that's about $650, the Power Light, which is a nice, slim, wireless, so you don't have to plug it into the laptop. You just pair it to the laptop, bring it in. It's only 4 pounds, and it's 3,200 lumens. I would say that should be bright enough in a in a business setting or
and you
courtroom.
Say like $600?
$649, yeah. That's kind of their. I would say one of their top of the lines. Epson makes really nice business projectors. It's 3 LCDs. It's very bright. I think it's a good choice. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, you don't care so much about, 1080p would be fine. You're not looking for a cinema projector. You're looking for...
No.
Yeah.
No, that sounds ideal. I haven't found anything...
This is the 17...
lumens, for that kind of...
Yeah, 1781W, which means it's wireless.
So Bluetooth, huh?
Yep. Well, no, not necessarily. It could be... you could connect it, obviously, with a HDMI. But
that's the gold standard.
It supports Chromecast, so you could even have on your phone, you could have the images and wirelessly send them to the projector, which I think would be nice.
Oh, that was my other question. With a typical projector, am I going to be able to see it on my laptop screen as well as so I can,
Yeah, basically the way it works is you're going to project your laptop screen. Right. Although you could use, like if you used PowerPoint to do it, PowerPoint has a speaker mode, so it would allow you to see one, maybe you don't want your notes visible to the jury or whatever, so you'd have your own presentation on your screen, and then you would see, then there would be a second screen that's just what's on the projector, and you'd also see a preview below it. PowerPoint would be perfect for this. That's what people mostly use.
Okay, all right. Let me say two more things. You went down memory lane with the old IBM computers. I had one of the first compact, they call it portable, so-called portable.
Yeah, it was a sewing machine, yeah. But compact, that's the story, is they reverse engineered in a clean room the IBM BIOS so they could make it compatible.
Yeah, because IBM had a more expensive the look-alike.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Also, I've been a ham radio operator since 1959.
What? Since you were a kid, obviously.
Yeah, I was like 12 years old when I got my
so
general
cool.
license.
So you had to learn CW. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's
13
cool.
words a minute.
Oh, that's so cool.
Anyway, it's great talking to you, and I really appreciate it. This sounds like the ideal product for me. It's within my price range.
I like Epson's. I think they make a quality product. So, yeah. I mean, there are others. Somebody in the chat room saying, oh, Leo, you should tell him about what was the name? I mean, this will give you a little hint. The Muka, the Muka projector, Muka Wi-Fi projector. See, I don't know about the Muka brand so much. It's probably a Chinese brand, I think go with Epson. Now, the one thing about that projector is it's a little lower res, but that's why it's less expensive, because it's 720p, which is plenty for a document. But it's not, you probably wouldn't want to use it for anything else.
Okay.
Like watching TV.
I listen to you constantly, and it's the first time I've ever called you, and I really appreciate it.
Hey, I'm so glad. Thank you, Rick. What kind of law do you practice?
Pretty much civil litigation. So I'm in the courtroom with juries and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. 7-3. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Leo. I agree with your recommendation. Epson is a great.
Oh, good. Actually, I should have asked you. And as for brightness,
yeah, if he's going to be in a well lit room, certainly brightness is more important than resolution.
And would 3200 lumens be bright enough?
Yeah,
I think so. That's pretty bright.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, you could buy more, and I wouldn't buy. Honestly, I know the Muka is only $129. I have a hard time recommending it. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah. I agree. Another company to look at is ViewSonic.
Oh yeah, they've been around forever.
And they do a good product too.
They used to make monitors that were quite good as well. So yeah, ViewSonic. Okay. Our show today brought to you by Hover. I'll tell you what, I was using Hover today. I registered another domain, Laporte.photo at Hover. Because Lisa and I thought it would be nice to have a website with our photos on it. Well, I could have Lisa at Laporte.photo, Leo at Laporte.photo. See, that's cool. And where do I go when I need to register a domain? Hover.com, Hover. My preferred domain registrar. You've heard me talk about how you ought to have, for instance, an email address, especially if you're a business, an email address in your business name. When I call a business and it's at yahoo.com or hotmail.com or AOL, I got to confess, I think, boy, that's not the best run business. If it's at joesplumbing.com, I know Joe's on the mark, and it's easy to do. There's no reason not to do it. Hover is affordable. It's simple. It connects up with all the websites you use. They have a really nice Hover Connect service that connects it to your storefront or your website, Shopify or WordPress or Squarespace with one button, one click. It's great for email. If you're a business and you don't have a web page, you really ought to. If you don't have an email address, In fact, even a family, we've got a family email address, which I use for all the kids and everybody. I think that's just, it's more pro. And then it also has this advantage if you want to move email providers, you don't have to tell everybody, oh, my address has changed. Your address never changes. In fact, you might as well, in fact, I would recommend using Hover for email. You get as many mailboxes to your domain as you need. When your domain renews, your mailboxes will too. Hover email is very affordable. It's just a no-brainer solution for a business or an individual or a family. If you're an artist, a photographer, you should have a portfolio in your name, like Laporte.photo. That's a good domain name. Online store in your business name. Or maybe you just want a more memorable redirect to your LinkedIn page. If you're job hunting right now, I'll tell you what, I see that on a resume. I know, hey, this person's on the ball. Hover isn't here to upsell you on stuff you don't need. They include Whois privacy just with your domain address automatically. That's important. You really should have that. They have great pro-level tools for managing domain and email. They're easy to use, whether you're a web pro or just getting started. At Hover, you're a customer, not a source of data. They are not data mining you. Not at all. You can take back control of your data. In fact, if you're using their email, it's reliable, tracker-free email. And yes, they have a web interface as well as you can use your Outlook or whatever program you like. Hover is trusted by hundreds of thousands of customers, including me and my family. And my business, by the way. All of our domains are registered at hover.com. Right now, if you want to get a domain name for your email, for your business, or just for your LinkedIn page, go to hover.com/twit. Please use that so they know you saw it on the Tech Guy. Hover.com/twit. And as a little reward to you, 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. Hover, HOVER.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. Developer, photographer, small business, big business, you really need to have your domain name. And it's so easy. Hover.com/twit. We thank Hover so much for supporting the Tech Guy podcast. Thank you, Hover. Hover.com/twit. Make sure you use that. Okay. Now back to the show. I'll tell you what's hip. This man right here, baby. Hipster himself, Scott Wilkinson, our home theater geek, joins us every week to talk about big screen TVs, surround sound. Hello, Scotty. How are you?
Hey,
good to
Leo,
see you.
doing good.
So,
did you get out to see the Perseid meteor shower?
Alas, no. It was a little cloudy overnight. We really couldn't see it. A couple of nights, I know. But did you?
Well, yeah, I went out to Indio, which is out near Palm Springs.
Yeah, no city lights there.
No city lights there, but it was very windy, and so the dust, there was a lot of dust in the air, and so it was, I saw a few good ones.
Do you do like Wayne's World? Do you lie on the top of your car on a blanket?
No, I take a portable chaise lounge.
Oh, nice. How nice.
And lie out under the stars. It's beautiful. When the sky is clear, it's a magical experience.
Yeah. When you wish upon a star. So, what's up in the world of home theater? By the way, before we go, I was talking to Rick about projectors. You thought the Epson makes a good one, but you also mentioned ViewSonic, VUSONIC. Yes. They make good projectors too.
They make good projectors too, and that would be another one to take a look at.
Yeah.
He wants something small. He wants something very bright, as you said.
Yeah.
Resolution isn't as important, although if you're reading documents, you got to have some resolution.
Yeah, I think 720 would be okay, though, wouldn't it?
I suspect.
Yeah, you don't need 4K anyway. 1080 maybe.
No.
And am I correct in saying you don't want a bulb, you want an LED or laser? Is
Correct.
LED or laser, does that make a difference? Obviously, bulbs are old school. Is laser better than LED?
Well, certainly you don't need as much cooling, except in the really bright ones. So they're quieter.
Yeah, you don't need those big fans.
20,000, 30,000
They
hours.
last longer. The worst thing in a jury trial is you got a bulb burnout.
Yeah, right.
Well, Your Honor, may I hand the documents around?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
ViewSonic, I misspelled it. ViewSonic.
ViewSonic. Yeah.
And they're known for conference room projectors, PowerPoint.
Correct.
So that's
Which
important.
Is sort of what you're looking for.
Yeah. It's important to make the distinction between that and projectors designed for playing movies and TV and stuff like that.
And as you said, the other advantage of LED or laser is instant on, instant off without having to warm up or cool down.
Yeah. You don't want to have to say, can we just have a minute while my projector warms up? That's no good. Plus, you don't want a big fan going.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Anyway, a couple weeks ago, you might recall, you mentioned the word of the week, which was angstrom.
Angstrom, yeah.
You remember that?
I did.
Now,
it's the new measurement for microprocessors instead of nanometers, angstrom.
Right. Angstrom, which is 1/10 of a nanometer.
Right. So you get a little more headroom. We're down to 2 nanometers, but now they can say 20 angstrom.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I ran across that same term a couple weeks ago when I was covering a new headphone from a company called Audeze, Audeze.
Widely considered to be audiophile headphones.
Audiophile headphones. They specialize in a type of headphone called planar magnetic.
Yes. I'm a fan of planar magnetics.
Absolutely, absolutely. They sound wonderful. They're very. They have a really open, airy kind of quality.
I have a pair from HiFi Man, which is another big maker.
Now, are those planar magnetics or are they electrostatics?
Oh,
because these are two technologies for headphones that are similar. They have a large, very thin, flexible diaphragm that sits there, and that's what vibrates. Now, in the case of an electrostatic, that diaphragm is coated with a conductive material, typically gold or titanium, that's only a few angstroms thick.
Oh, it's so thin. I have the HE560s, which are planar magnetic.
Planar magnetics. Okay, I think HiFi Man makes both types.
Yeah. I don't know anything about electrostatic, but I love the planars.
Well, the
really
electrostatics are also very high-end, very audiophile.
Yeah.
However, they require a special type of amplifier. You can't just plug them into the iFi hip deck.
That might be why I got the other ones.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised because the electrostatics require something called a bias voltage, which is a DC voltage on the order of 580 volts.
I ain't putting that on my head.
It's perfectly safe.
Are Audeze, which are Audeze?
Audeze generally makes planar magnetics, but I went down to their office a couple weeks ago and heard their first electrostatic.
Oh.
And what was really special and really cool about these electrostatics is that they do not have that several angstrom thick layer of gold or titanium or some sort of conductive material on the diaphragm. Instead, they came up with a way to basically suspend carbon nanotubes within the plastic material of the diaphragm itself. So the diaphragm doesn't have a layer of conductive material. It is a conductive material because of these suspended carbon nanotubes. And they can control the density of the carbon nanotubes within the diaphragm and thereby control the conductivity of the entire diaphragm, which offers several advantages. One is it doesn't degrade over time. This super thin layer on other planar magnetic headphones can degrade over time. It can become dislodged from the surface of the diaphragm. If it hits the other structures around it that can damage it, no problem with these carbon nanotube planar electrostatic headphones. They were developed originally as a headphone to use in MRI machines. Have you ever had an MRI scan?
No. But that's interesting. These nanotubes, huh?
Yeah.
By the way,
nanotubes.
Just before you go too much farther, so people know where we're talking, these are $4,500.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to didn't want to raise expectations too high.
Yes.
Yeah.
Electrostatic headphones are not cheap.
They're expensive.
These are $4,500, which is expensive.
Yeah.
However, and you have to buy an amplifier beyond that, a special.
But that doesn't come with it. That doesn't come with an amplifier. No, you need a 580 volt pro bias amplifier as well.
Correct.
Which you probably don't have unless. I don't know. Maybe
unless
you're
already a headphone guy and Maven, and you have an electrostatic headphone amp.
So it's really
and that can cost anywhere from several $100s to several $1,000s. But dig this: Sennheiser's flagship electrostatic headphones are nearly $60,000. That includes the amplifier.
Okay.
But still, we're talking almost more than 10 times as much money as these Audis. They're called the Carbon, CRBN.
And they have on the sell page, they have a whole article about the being used in MRI.
Right,
really
which is really important because in an MRI, they're very loud. MRIs can reach 120 decibels of sound pressure level while you're in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
that's kind of scary for some people too. I mean,
it's really scary. And they're very claustrophobic. Yeah. I have been inside an MRI machine and it's really scary. And so being able to play calming music and having active noise canceling is very important. But headphones are difficult to use in a 3 Tesla magnetic field.
Yes. Yes.
And so these Audis headphones were developed for that. And then they said, you know what? This is such a good technology. We could make an audiophile headphone out of the same technology.
So the nanotubes are not affected by a magnet, by a big magnet.
Correct.
Correct. Go ahead.
The gold wouldn't be either.
Oh.
But they have other issues.
Other parts that might be.
That have a problem, right.
I guess the way to understand it is it's like an eardrum. It's moving with the music. You need something that's going to vibrate with the music. Very interesting.
Correct.
Scott Wilkinson, thank you for joining us, our home theater guru.
You bet.
So how did these sound? We didn't even get to that.
Amazing.
Yeah, they ought to.
I heard a little demo. I'm waiting to get a pair for a review. But I did hear a little demo at their studios, and they sound great.
Oh, I bet.
Really amazing.
Even the HiFi Man, which are only I think $800 or $900, it's noticeable, big improvement. Although I have to say, those IE300 Sennheisers that you recommended, they're pretty darn close. Given they're only $300, they're pretty darn close.
Yeah, they do sound really.
It's really amazing.
Given the price, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it is amazing.
Yeah.
But they are in-ears, and you have to be careful about making sure that you use the right ear tips to get a good seal.
I like over-ear. I find them more comfortable for long-term listening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this Audi's Carbon headphone, just what little I heard of it sounded phenomenal. Just phenomenal. They've got an airiness to them, these electrostatic headphones.
Yeah, that's how I would describe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Planar Magnetic does that too.
Planar Magnetic does
very
as well.
open. Each instrument has a lot of space around it, I guess.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
I love that sound. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to giving them a good run for their money. They're not cheap. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not going to buy a pair. I wish I could. But I just can't afford that. But, for the time I have them, I'm going to
How much,
the heck
just
out
of curiosity, would be the bias amp? How much would that cost?
That could be, you can get a used one from a company called Stax.
Yeah.
STAX, which is the grandfather of electrostatic headphones out of Japan.
Yeah.
You can get a used one on eBay for several $100.
Oh, okay. So the amp isn't going to kill you.
Well, not if you go that route. You could get one from a company, I can't remember the name of the company. I mentioned it in my article. It's $5,100.
More than the headphones.
Yeah.
See, I like it that I could just plug my HiFi Man right into the, a good DAC or the
whatever,
amplifier or whatever I've got. Because, and they sound so good. I put them on the ELAC DAC, and it really sounds great.
Oh, that must be
wonderful.
Great. Yeah. Oh, you got one of those ELAC, what's it called?
It's just a little amp / DAC that I hook up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want to put
portable, I don't think.
No, I just didn't want to put a whole AV receiver in the bedroom.
Sure. You plug the HiFi Man into that, and you kick back, and you're transported.
EA 101 EQ. That's what it is. It's an EA.
It's an EA. Okay.
Yeah.
ELAC amplifier.
It's designed to go with their debut 2s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like them.
That's a nice.
I'm very happy. The sound
ELAC
is just excellent.
is good with their model names too. EA, ELAC amp.
Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah.
You know what it is.
Yeah. And I have ELAC. I ended up just upgrading all the speakers in the house to ELAC, so that's worked out well. I like the sound of those a lot.
The fellow I was visiting in Indio, he got some ELAC speakers based on my recommendation. He said, "Oh man, those just sound so good."
Yeah, perfectly happy with those.
Yep.
And I was listening to some Guy Clark music, wearing my new cowboy hat, and it just made me, transported me to another time, another era. Like desperados waiting for a train. All right, you want to stick around to the top of the hour, sir?
Sure, happy to.
Thank you. I guess, well, it's only 30 seconds.
It's only 30 seconds.
It's only 30
By the way,
seconds.
I do have an article about the Audi's Carbon.
Let me plug that
on TechHive, but it's a little far down by now on the
I'll mention
homepage.
that though.
But if you look for it, you'll find it.
And we'll put it in the show notes. Good.
Great. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. If you're interested to know more about these carbon electrostatic headphones that Audi's has introduced, AUDEZE. Scott Wilkinson has a good article about it on his TechHive site, techhive.com. Actually, it's a long link. You could find it at techhive.com, but I'll also put a link in the show notes so everybody can see it. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Let's see. From Hell's Kitchen, New York, WD is on the line. Hi, WD.
Hey, Leo, great to hear that lead-in with Stevie Nicks. I heard her at the Madison Square Garden.
Oh, she's so great. We were going to go see her.
Yeah,
but she's canceled her 2021 tour, alas. But
I heard.
We saw her with Fleetwood Mac when they reunited a couple of years ago, and that was really fun, too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thanks for everything you do. I'm a long-time listener, but not the last couple of years. And I'm kind of asking about being like a next wave cord cutting. I'm hoping that there's a way for me not to even pay for internet, from Spectrum or any provider.
That's the problem, and the cable companies are no fools. They realize, well, we're going to lose subscribers to our TV services, but fortunately, we have a monopoly on high-speed internet into these houses, so we'll just raise the cost of internet, and we'll make it all up. And so that's what they've done. So cutting the cord, if you're doing it to stick it to the man, is problematic because the man's still in the equation.
Well, I'm not doing it on principle so much. I was wondering if there's a way. I have a few phone lines on my Metro PCS phone service, and I'm wondering if I don't watch that much online, and I have plenty of high speed to do what I need to do with my smartphones, and I have a couple of them, and I have a tablet. But I'm wondering if there's such a thing as just broadcasting or smartcasting from your phone to your smart TV.
Sure.
Not having to use any other internet besides on your phone.
So there's a couple of things to be aware of. Phone companies hate it when you do this. So they want you to watch on the phone, and there will be caps. So you should look carefully what your pricing structure is. But you said you don't do it all the time. Once in a while, and nowadays is going to be fine. And nowadays LTE or 5G are more than fast enough to stream high def. Most phones will have the ability, most apps, I should say, will have the ability to do something called Chromecast. So the easiest way to do this, you check to see if your app, Netflix does, and a lot of streaming apps support Chromecast. Then you can buy a $35 Chromecast dongle for your TV. Many TVs actually have Chromecast built in. This is a Google technology, but Google sells Chromecasts very inexpensively. You plug it into the TV, and then you cast from your... Oh, let me think, though, now. Make sure that would work. The
guys at Best Buy, they always talk about Chromecast in terms of working it with your home internet.
Yeah, now that I think about it, it does a handoff, and I think the Chromecast expects to get Wi-Fi. So I have not tried this without Wi-Fi. I bet it will not work. So now you're going to have to look at there are other technologies that will allow you to use the bandwidth on your phone to stream to your TV.
Samsung phone to Samsung smart TV.
Yes.
There must be some direct cast.
Yes.
Between the two devices.
Yes.
Without having to pay for something extra.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're all based on DLNA, which is a streaming technology that Apple TV is a modification of DLNA. I'm pretty sure the Samsung, and I don't know what they call it, but I'm sure the Samsungs would have a way of sending from the phone. You can they're saying you can use a Chromecast without Wi-Fi. So we're going to put a link in the show notes to a article that says how to do that. But I think you're right. I think building it in, that way you don't have to buy a dongle. So streaming from your phone, from your Sammy phone to the Samsung TV. Let me just find the name of that. You use the Smart Things app. You open screen sharing on your phone. It says get your phone and TV on the same network. That's so frustrating. We don't want to do that.
And when they say network, they mean
your Wi-Fi. So I'm sure. Yeah, they call it Miracast, which is another DLNA. It's just DLNA basically. Yeah, you can use a Miracast to do that.
Okay, so this is not a thing that a lot of people are doing.
It actually probably is, both either with Chromecast or Miracast or DLNA, because almost all TVs and computers have this built in these days. Apple calls it AirPlay, and they build that into their Apple TV. But most of the time, people have Wi-Fi, obviously. So, and the limitation is it really comes down to what your mobile carrier is going to allow you to do. Most mobile carriers don't want you to replace your home internet with their mobile internet, because then you'll become a bandwidth hog. But if you use it judiciously, and again, just look at your streaming, your phone agreement, it'll tell you, at what point, you get to 8 gigs, 6 gigs, and we're going to slow you down. At that point, when they slow you down, you won't be able to watch TV anymore. It's going to be that slow.
I dropped Verizon 10 years ago for both landline and my cell phone service, because to me, they were the man. And I went to Metro PCS when they were the first $40 a month for everything all in. Yeah. And then I built it from there.
Metro may have some real limitations on this because, remember, Metro is owned by T-Mobile, I think. Yeah. And T-Mobile would prefer, if you're going to do that you buy a device, which they sell. They actually sell home internet now. And so Metro, because they're a resale of T-Mobile, even though it's owned by T-Mobile, may have some real restrictions on bandwidth caps. So look at your bandwidth caps, and you just have to pay attention. Samsung calls it Smart View, by the way. Chat room tells me Smart View.
And you think that the Smart View would allow without having to have a dongle or extra?
Yeah, because it's built into the TV. Check your TV menu. And you'll have Smart View on your phone. And it's basically mirroring your phone contents. And nowadays, high-end Samsung phones can do 4K. So you could send very good quality. But remember, you don't want 4K because you're going to have bandwidth caps. So
good reminder. Thanks so much, Leo.
Yeah, I'm glad you called. Everybody wants to do this now. Everybody wants to cut the cable for a variety of reasons. Me personally, it's about sticking it to the man. But for you, it might just be I should save money. It might fit your usage case better. We're coming up on news at the hour, but let me see. I got about a minute left. I might be able to handle another call. Let's go to Chandler, Arizona. Neil. Hi, Neil.
Hey, hi, Leo. How you been?
I'm well.
It's been a while since we last spoke, but I've been watching for many years, and I just had a question. I think you can probably get this one. I recently switched to T-Mobile. I think that's actually your preferred carrier.
I use T-Mobile. Yep.
I switched them to save money from Verizon. I went from like $90 a month to $75 a month. But at that point, and I could have bought a new phone on that point, but I said no. And I say that because I know that we'll have a new iPhone coming up really soon. And I didn't want to.
About 3 weeks, actually. Yeah, the iPhone 13.
Right. Whatever they're going to call it. Kim pointed out maybe they'll skip that. I mean, we'll see. But the point being is I'm just trying to see if it's worthwhile to get an iPhone 13.
I would wait. I certainly would wait. It'll probably be the second week in September, because even if you don't want the 13, prices will drop on the 12. So it's going to be worth waiting, I think. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The rumors on the iPhone 13 are, and as you would expect, a little faster processor, a little better camera, but no change in the design. So, you might be right. This is the kind of phone that Apple would have in the past called an iPhone 12S. We don't know what they're 11. Yeah, we don't know what they're going to call it, but it is going to be a slighter improvement over the 12. So, what I would do, it'd be silly to buy an iPhone right now because they're going to announce a new one. It'll either be on the 6th, which is the Wednesday after Labor Day, or the 8th, or possibly the 14th, 8th or 14th, we think. So it's 3 or 4 weeks from now. And it might be exactly a month from now. At that point, you can say, is it worth it? Or should I save a couple $100 and get last year's iPhone? And I think I'm probably just going to stay with the 12 unless they come up with something really special.
Okay, cool. I wasn't going to have any insight on what they're looking on the rumors on the 13. You know how they...
and when we get this close to the release, the rumors are going to be fairly accurate. So the best guy is Mark Gurman at Bloomberg. If Mark says it, it's almost certainly true. He's very well connected. There's some others that are less reliable. John Prosser, Ming-Chi Kuo. Those rumor guys are pretty good. There's actually a really good Apple rumor tracker site where you can see that people score based on it's appletrack.com. And you can see the rumors there, but you can also, if you go to the source leaderboard, see who's the most accurate. Right now, there's somebody named Kang who's 97% accurate. Oh, there's some different people. Mark Gurman's only number 4. So you can decide who you want to listen to or not. But I think if Gurman says it's going to be, it's going to be. And the iPhone 13, we think, will just be a minor improvement over the 12.
Cool. Well, thank you, Leo. I really appreciate that.
Enjoy. You're going to like your new phone, I think. One way or the other.
All right.
Take care.
Take care. Good talk.
All righty, Scotty.
Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, a friend of mine is about to get a new iPhone as well. And my question to you is, what was the difference between the 11 and the 12? Was that a big jump?
Yeah. I would say, it all comes down to price. And how sensitive it is to price. Certainly you're going to wait until the new one's announced because that will bring all prices down except for the new one.
Right.
I think the 12 had significant improvement. A lot of it is just a bigger screen. The biggest change on the...
She does want a big screen.
Yeah. I would say 11 was pretty good. I think 12 is a significant improvement. I don't think 13 is going to be a significant improvement.
Right. Her phone it's working, but it no longer holds a charge very well and doesn't last very long. So she might not be able to wait.
Well, she can also, depending on its age, bring it to Apple, and usually for $90 they'll replace the battery, which will make it like new.
Oh,
battery replacement will solve those things.
Oh, okay, but it's like a 6.
So if she's got a 6, it's probably worth getting the upgrade. Actually, they were offering a free battery upgrade for the 6. She must have missed that.
Oh,
but so you're saving a couple $100 for the 11.
Yeah.
It's fine. Not as many cameras. They have 3 lenses now instead of 2.
On the 12,
yeah.
The 11 had 2.
Yeah, and if she really wants to save, even the SE might be better. I suspect they'll announce a new SE in a 3 weeks or 4 weeks. That's the inexpensive iPhone model, and those are often good.
Are they a larger screen or a smaller screen?
They're much smaller. So if she wants a big screen, she's going to want to get the Pro Max probably, which is expensive.
Yeah.
But it will be less.
11 would be less than the 12.
Yeah,
12 will be less than the 13.
Yeah, as usual. The 11 has an LCD screen.
12 has an OLED.
They're OLED now. Yeah. I don't think you care about the MagSafe charging. That's kind of dopey. It's still wireless on the 11. It just doesn't have that magnet on it.
Right.
The design is slightly different. The processor is faster, of course, on the 12. But I don't think nobody's complained about an iPhone processor in years. They're all pretty fast.
Right.
I think the camera really is almost always the biggest difference. So
that's what I told her when she asked me a couple days ago. I said, usually the camera is the biggest.
Yeah, they
difference.
got a night mode and improved HDR. The video, they got Dolby Vision video and stuff like that. So, but most people, I don't think are going to even really care. And she doesn't care about 5G, almost certainly, right?
Almost certainly.
Yeah, that was the big difference, and between the 11 and 12. Yeah, and who cares?
Right.
Who cares?
Scooter X just gave me a nice link in the chat room. iPhone 12 versus iPhone 11. Every difference compared.
Yeah, that's not going to help her much. Be honest with you, because it's spec differences more than anything else.
Right.
But that big difference, maybe OLED to LCD. Again, I think the LCD screens Apple used were very, very good. So I don't think she'll notice a difference. I think most people would not notice much of a difference.
Right.
If screen size is the one she wants to look at, then that's what I would look at.
Screen size is more important.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. You enjoy.
Go get a cup of coffee. Hello, everybody. So nice to see you on this fine Saturday. Steve San Diego, we've been talking in the chat room about an interesting question that I've never really thought about before, which is, say you have a TV on one wall and a projector on the wall 90 degrees from it. And you've got a 5.1 speaker system or a 5.0 or whatever, surround speaker system. Is there a way to flip a switch and switch the orientation of the surround speaker system so that you can watch the TV in one orientation and then rotate your seat and watch the projector and still have surround sound from the speakers? This is I don't think I'd ever considered this before. There are a number of obstacles, one of which I mentioned in the chat was if you have a 5-channel speaker system with a sub or without. Sub doesn't really matter because you can have it almost anywhere in the room and it won't be any different. But with a five main channels, you've got a center channel speaker. And that center channel speaker will be either over here or it'll be over there. And if you were to somehow be able to say, okay, the front right speaker becomes the front left speaker, and the surround right speaker becomes the front right speaker. And that's what you'd have to do to change the orientation. And similar changes to all the other speakers. Suddenly your center channel is over on the side. It's not acting as a center channel. So he suggested that perhaps he has two center channels, have one over here and one over there. But then you'd have to disable the one you weren't using as a center channel. Another problem, I see several problems with this, is the orientation of the speakers. Now, if you're the only person in the room and you're sitting at the center of the speaker array, you could do it. But if not, it'd be more problematic.
Thank you, my friend.
Always a pleasure.
Take care. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks, Scott.
You bet.
Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Didn't mean to scare you, sorry. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. If you want to talk high tech, 8888, ask Leo. That's toll free in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, call via Skype. Should still be a free call. 8888, ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. Always put links and so forth up on that site. If you want to know more, techguylabs.com. That's free. No sign up. Let's go to Mississauga in Canada. Derek is on the line. Hello, Derek. Oh, did I not do any? Are you there, Derek? Oh, I think here's silence. So let me put him on hold and move on to David in San Diego. Hi, David.
Hi, Leo.
There we go.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
I just have followed you for years about getting Windows more efficient, and in the past you had recommended Black Viper, I believe is the name of it.
Oh, gosh, that goes way back.
Yes.
Way back. I forgot all about it.
So recently, if you look like how to get Windows more efficient, there's a thing called Transcript. Are you familiar with it?
No. So Black Viper was just a guy who posted on his website, blackviper.com, recommendations for configurations. In fact, I think I recommended this back in the Windows 7 days, but I'm glad to see he's kept it up to date, and he even goes to up to Windows 10.
Oh, well, that's the thing. He hasn't.
Oh, he hasn't.
So
okay.
The most recent ideation is a thing called Transcript.
Let me look at Transcript. I'm not familiar with it. Is it an actual script that you run?
It's on GitHub, and it's supposed to go through Windows and make it like super streamlined and everything.
Interesting. All right, I'm going to have to look at it before I can recommend it. But have you tried it?
Yes, I have on a laptop, and not on my main desktop where all my serious stuff is. So it does work. It does eliminate a lot of bloat, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own personal. Actually, for every operating system I use, I actually maintain a page on a note-taking app that I use called Notion that says, step by step how to set up and configure. And I have a little PowerShell script I run that takes all that extra junky stuff like solitaire and stuff off. And you can all do that in a script. So I imagine Transcript does that. I'd be careful about any of the black magic under the hood. Sometimes you see scripts doing things like changing the MTU configuration in their internet access, which may be more black magic than real, and sometimes can hurt things. So, can you look at the script before you run it? Can you actually? It's probably in just a PowerShell or batch script, right?
Yeah, it's on GitHub.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. Yeah, I would. It's a batch file. I would take a look at it and really understand what it's doing before I could recommend it. But I see a lot of people use it, so it's a script that fights for the user. It says it is not
as in the character Tron from the movie.
Yeah, right. Except instead of using a frisbee with LEDs on the edge, it's a base. It's not. By the way, he says it's not system optimization. Which is interesting. Remove support for Windows XP. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at the script because I can't say anything in terms of its reliability. But a lot of people use it. Tron version 12 on Windows 11. All right. Do you know off the top of your head? Have you looked at what it does? Have you run it?
No, I've run it. Yes, but when you say if I looked at the script, I haven't looked at the script.
I would always do that before you run it. Now, obviously, some of this you're going to go, I don't know what the heck this is talking about. Yeah.
That's why I haven't looked at the script.
Yeah. You run as administrator. It takes 3 to 10 hours, it says.
Yeah, it goes through your whole drive and everything.
Yeah. I'm sure it's harmless, but you understand the risks of running a script you download from the internet.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any opinion of it because I haven't looked. I'll tell you what, I will download it and look at the script and see if I can figure out. I'm looking at the switches, which should give you some idea. It uninstalls, for instance, the trialware, things like McAfee antivirus and so forth.
Oh, yeah, that's all wonderful.
Yeah, and certainly you want to do that. It removes all the antivirus junk, the trialware junk, cookie cleanup, removes OEM bloatware. Sometimes you want that if you get a Dell or a Lenovo or an HP. Those guys will install a lot of stuff, mostly junk, but some of it makes it easier. Lenovo, I have an Alienware, for instance, and I run that Alienware update because that's how they want you to update BIOSes and hardware things. So sometimes it's nice to have those, but often they over install that stuff. I love it that it removes OneDrive because that is such an annoyance. Microsoft bugs you until you sign up for OneDrive.
When I ran it, it wouldn't remove OneDrive because it was accessing a document or something.
Good. That's actually encouraging that it did that because it means it's a little careful anyway about how aggressive it is. Yeah. Oh, you've got a document saved there. I better not remove it because you won't have access to it anymore. I love it that it claims it removes the telemetry. This is one of the most controversial aspects of Windows 10. It phones home, and even if you tell it not to phone home, it phones home. The argument Microsoft makes, and it's not a bad argument, and most software does this, is they send telemetry, that's what they call it, back, so that they know what programs are used and how people use the operating system so they can improve it. And that's, for instance, one example of that is when they removed Windows Media Center.
Is that a synonym for spyware?
Well, it depends on your point of view. I would say spyware would be something that is trying to monetize you. So it wants to sell marketing information or gain marketing information. But there is a completely legitimate use, especially for an operating system, where it says, well, I just want to know, should we be including Windows Media Center, for instance? And they said, very few people, on the order of less than 1%, ever even launched Windows Media Center. So we stopped including it because nobody used it. That's the kind of thing you learn from telemetry that I think is a legitimate use of this. So is it spyware? It depends how it's used. If what they do instead is see what movies you're watching in your Windows Media Player and then send that back to the movie company, yeah, that's spyware. So, but they have telemetry removal in there. I would say most people want to remove the telemetry. It does say you can skip Windows updates. That makes me nervous. So you might, but what it does do is allow you to get the offline updates. Some people really like that. I would turn on the verbose mode, which is a -V when you run that script, and look at what it's doing. It's going to slow it down, but in fact, maybe even take the output of that and pipe it into a text file so that you can see what it did. There is a log also that it keeps. It's interesting. Yeah, I think in principle, this is a good idea. As I said, I have my own little mini script that I run just to remove everything but the store and maybe the apps that I know I want to keep. But this probably goes a lot farther. It's an interesting question. I'm not familiar with it, but I will. Yeah, and the Viper way back when. Holy cow, I forgot about Black Viper.
Yeah, that one wasn't up to date, so and he was a lot of use.
His was more about optimization. This is optimization in the sense that it cleans up all the junk that Microsoft puts on there. I would absolutely agree that Windows needs something like this.
Right.
Decrapify it. And in fact, there was a program called PC Decrapifier that used to do this. I don't know if that's still available, but there are definitely things you would like to do. I just want to make sure you know what it's doing, or you're careful, or alternately really have checked and people say, yeah, this is good, and I trust it. Look on Reddit and other places and see if people have used it and trust it, because it's always risky to run a script that you don't know what it's doing. But remember, every time you install a program, you're doing that. So
right. You'll put your review in the show notes or something?
Yeah, or I'll mention it next week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I will download it and put it on my Windows machine and see if it ruins everything. On the other hand, I might be saying, thank you to David in San Diego. He came up with a wonderful new program I'm going to tell everybody about.
Yeah. Well, it's not mine. It's public. That's the thing. It's not paid. It's open source, public, and on GitHub.
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking because he says don't download it from GitHub. I have a private place that I put it that you can download it from. I would, for instance, really want to make sure he keeps that secure so that a malware author can't hack it and put malware into this, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
That would make me really scared. There is a Reddit subreddit r/r/transcript. That's where I'll go first to read reviews and see what people are saying about it. That's what I'd recommend to you too as well.
Okay. I'll check it out.
Hey, good tip, David. I'll check it too.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah. In principle, this is a great idea. It's a great idea. But I worry. Because it's also would be a great way to, install all sorts of malware on your system. Reddit.com/r/transcript probably be a good place to read up on it. I'm certainly going to do that. In fact, I'm going to add that to my Reddit subscriptions. I don't know if I talk about Reddit that often on the show, but it's a very useful site for geeky stuff like that. There's some hardcore geeks in the world. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. I'm only a softcore geek. It's important because you need somebody to explain what all this means, right? So I do my best. 8888 Ask Leo. And I will look through the script and see if I can flag any issues. I bet you it's fine. That you'd know if it weren't. People would be screaming. A word from our sponsor. This podcast is supported by AT&T Active Armor. We rely so much of our phones these days, and we're always on them, whether it's live streaming content, catching up with family on weekly video calls. I do that. Love it. Or, maybe watching or listening to your favorite podcast. Hint, hint. But no matter what you're doing, there's no room for fraud calls. Thankfully, AT&T makes customer security a priority, helping block those pesky calls. I have to say, for a long time, I didn't even want to answer the phone. Now with AT&T, I don't worry about it. It's not complicated. AT&T Active Armor, 24/7 proactive network security and fraud call blocking to help stop threats at no extra charge. Compatible device and service required. Visit att.com/activearmor for details. Thank you, AT&T. Now back to the show. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Joanne's on the line from Claremont, California. Hi, Joanne.
Hello, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks so much for calling. What can I do for you?
Okay, about probably a month ago, when I'm working on a PC and have a TCL TV that I use for my monitor.
Oh, nice.
And it started to pixelate.
Oh.
It was okay when I turned the computer on. Everything was fine. But as I go into different sites or I look at my pictures and my picture folders, then it goes black. The screen goes black for a second and comes back, and the font is all pixelated.
Oh, nuts.
Pictures.
So what's happening is the TV is confusing the computer about its capabilities, and the computer decides, oh, you can't display this very nice resolution I'm sending you, so I'm going to send you a lower resolution. This is not unusual with HDMI, the handshaking. And it's one of the reasons I generally don't say using a TV is not the best experience with a computer. They're not designed to work with a computer.
Right. I have had it for 2 years, and
it's worked fine. Yeah. Yeah, so the question is, why is this happening? You might check. You're using an HDMI cable from the computer to the TV. How are you connecting?
Yes, I believe so. I'm not a hardware person.
Okay, so there's a cable coming out of the laptop. Is it a laptop you're using?
No, PC.
PC.
Desktop. Yeah.
Desktop. So there's a cable coming out of the desktop and going directly into the TV.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that's HDMI almost certainly. Okay. So HDMI can have some problems. It does something called handshaking, a conversation the TV will have with the source about what capabilities the source has, what capabilities the TV has, and then they agree at some point, okay, we're going to do it this way. What seems to be happening at some point is the TV is getting the wrong message from the computer and saying, oh, okay, I'm not going to display it. But when you first turn it on, it works just fine.
Yeah.
And text is readable, and because text is really where you'd have the biggest trouble.
Right.
And text is fine.
Yeah, I can go to. I work on an indexing document project, and I go to SharePoint.com, and if I don't have any other windows open, it's working just fine. It doesn't pixelate.
Nice. But then what is it? What happens when it goes bad? Can you reproduce the steps every time, or is it just kind of unpredictable?
It's unpredictable, but I would say every time if I go to Facebook or, some other site, or like I said, look at my picture folder.
It tends to be with pictures.
Yes. Could it be a graphics card or video card or something?
The first thing I would do, I always do the cheapest, easiest thing, is try a different HDMI port on the TV and maybe on the computer, and maybe get a new HD, or if you have one lying around, try a different cable.
Okay.
So if the cable, for instance, is a little frayed or unpredictable or getting stray radio signals, it could be doing it. It could be saying, ooh, ooh, and confusing the TV. So that's the easiest thing to check. Yes, it could be a driver issue. It could be a video card issue. To me, there is a clue in that it happens when you look at pictures. What operating system are you using? Windows? Okay.
Yeah.
Windows 10 maybe? Or
Yes.
How old is the computer?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I don't remember.
I really want you to do the easy thing, which is get a different cable, a more modern cable, because that TCL is pretty modern, I would guess, yeah?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So get an HDMI 2.0 or 2.1 cable, more modern. And because if it's a bad cable, or the cable, even if the connection is loose, that's why I'm saying try a different port. If the connection works its way a little bit loose, it could just be a stray signal goes in and the TV goes, oh yeah, you can't do that. You're not sending me 1080p, you're sending me 640. And all of a sudden, does the whole screen go bad?
Yes.
And it just big dots on the screen?
Well, not big dots, but there's just, the font is just not clear, and I've done the clear type process.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's changing resolutions. Unfortunately, Windows uses drivers for monitors. It's unlikely that it'll have a driver for a TCL TV. So that's part of the problem too, is that it's probably using a generic driver. I would try different ports and different cable, just to make sure that that's not causing the problem.
Okay.
And then maybe do you update that computer regularly? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, afraid to, thinking I'm not going to be able to get back in or whatever.
Yeah, but make sure you update it, and you want to maybe update the video driver. It's probably not a hardware problem. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's more likely that I don't think there's a TCL driver for Windows. Let me just see. TCL TV driver, Windows 10. Let me just check here. Here's one in the Microsoft community. My TV model is a TCL, and it does say. Here, this is an interesting tip I was not familiar with. You can refresh the screen. So when it goes bad, try this magic voodoo key combination. You ready?
Okay.
Windows key, you're going to press all of these at the same time. Windows key, Control, Shift, and B.
B as in boy?
As in boy. That apparently refreshes the screen, which means Windows will say, essentially, redo the handshake.
Okay.
See if that might be enough. It's not going to fix the problem permanently, but it might be enough. If it does do that, then you understand then what's happening is, for some reason, the TV at some point, either the TV's getting hot or the computer's getting hot, or you sent something to the TV, it freaked it out, maybe those images. See, the fact that this happens when you have display images is a clue of some kind. And I'm trying to figure that out. Some computers, when they have a higher resolution picture, will attempt to send a higher resolution image to the screen. I would make sure that you're using a generic video driver so it's not doing that. Okay. This thing, I don't know what Windows key Control Shift B does. But and you will get a beep with it that'll tell you I'm resetting the screen.
Okay.
But that seems to be something interesting. I would like to know what that does. Okay. This is from a Microsoft answers page, answers.microsoft.com. That's a case of the computer not detecting this TV, but
and it would do that all of a sudden.
It could, yeah. That's why I'm really suspecting that the cable is a problem. It's getting loose or something like that.
Okay.
I think that command just refreshes the screens, but if it fixes it, then it means it's probably all right. That it's the screen, the TV and the computer are getting confused about each other.
Okay.
I don't think there are TCL drivers. So what you should do is look at what your computer thinks it's connecting to, and pick something as generic as possible. A generic, is it a 4K TV or a 1080 HD TV?
I don't know.
You want to match the resolution of the TV. That's the other thing you want to do. So probably it's a 1080p, what we call an HD, not a UHD TV, not ultra high def, just high def. So you might look for a generic 1080p driver, because you won't have a TCL driver, I don't think. Drivers in this case are just text files that say what the TV can do.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe my husband will understand all my...
It gets a little technical. Yeah, it's generally why I tell people it's better to use a computer monitor, because there will be a driver for it for Windows, and you won't have these problems in most cases. But I think just try, your TV will have multiple HDMI ports. Try a different one. Your computer might even have multiple HDMI. Try a different one, because just a jiggly little port could do it.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Try that first. Thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the call. He's been everywhere. He's our travel guru, Johnny Jet at johnnyjet.com. Get his newsletter. Follow him on Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube, too. Hello, Johnny.
Hello, Leo.
Have you been anywhere since we talked last?
No, unfortunately, I have not. I've actually really pulled back on my travel, and especially when my dad was just diagnosed with COVID. My sister called me the other day and said that they're rushing Dad to the hospital. I said, for what? They're like, he thinks he has a urinary tract infection.
Dad has took the vaccine, right?
He did. He got it in February in Florida, so he got it early. So
maybe it's wearing off. He's 90.
That's what I think.
How old is he?
Almost 93.
93. So this is serious, obviously.
Well, yeah. Then she called me. She's like, "Dad just tested positive for COVID," and I was like, I just dropped the phone.
How did he?
I was like,
yeah,
what?
No kidding. He avoided it for a year and a half.
Yeah.
How
he
did
goes to Connecticut, and he got it in Connecticut.
He got it in Connecticut, and we don't know how he got it.
We don't, but he's been pretty careful, and everyone. He was in a nursing home for a little bit in Connecticut, but they tested everyone, and everyone came back negative. My cousins that visited him just got tested; they came back negative.
So we just don't know.
We don't know.
That happens, 27 folks on a Carnival cruise ship.
Yeah,
COVID-19.
The good news, I spoke to my dad today. He sounded so much better than he did 2 days ago.
Oh,
but
good. So
he was really out of it.
Did they give him oxygen, or did
he had a little bit of oxygen? They didn't put a.
They didn't have to ventilate him.
They didn't intubate him or anything.
Good.
But,
Good.
He didn't have oxygen on his nose when I just spoke to him on FaceTime, and he's cracking jokes.
Yeah, he had symptoms, but whoever gave it to him probably didn't. That's one of the reasons we wear masks still.
And the nurse says that because he was vaccinated, he should be okay.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. I mean, even at 93, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I mean, listen, I honestly thought it was a death sentence. So I do have some tips, by the way, when people get bad news like this, or if they have to drop everything. So my first reaction was like, I should get
flying out.
And go see him.
I'm flying out.
But then I was like,
yeah.
Do I really want to go to a hospital where I know someone has COVID? But if it was, I honestly thought this was it, and I wanted to at least say goodbye to my dad.
Oh my God, Johnny.
And I just thought, if I just had to wear full PPE and just go in and just give him a quick hug and tell him how much I love him, I was willing to do that. But then I had to come home. I have 2 little kids that I have to quarantine.
This is one of the side effects of this new wave, is you can't visit in the hospital even if your loved ones aren't suffering from COVID, but if they're in hospital for other reasons. Lisa has a family member who got very, very sick, and no one could go in because of COVID protocols, which are appropriate. But it's very sad if you can't say goodbye in person. It's very sad.
So the first thing I did was get online and book a flight. So, a couple of my tips today are, always keep some miles in the bank. I know, I'm one of the people that preach, and most travel experts do, don't save your miles because they don't gain value. They're not like money in a bank. So I always keep some miles in an account. That way, if for emergencies like this, I wasn't going to fly coach and I was going to fly first class, lie flat seat. And a lot of times, if you wait to the last minute, you can find really good deals. And out of LA right now, I'm in LA. My dad's in Connecticut, which is right outside New York City. You can fly between Orange County Airport, SNA, to JFK for, if you do last minute, for 37,000 miles on a lie flat seat. That seat is normally 130,000. And if you price it out today for like next week, it will probably show 130,000. But if you wait till the day before or that morning, it will show 37,000 lately. And also, if you wanted to fly coach, you could fly for 15,000, which is normally 30,000. So
I thought these awards travel were so restricted that it wouldn't be that useful.
No, because of COVID, the airlines really opened up a lot of inventory.
Oh.
So
I have 139,000 miles on United. I should probably use, or maybe I shouldn't use them. You're saying keep them.
But this was American Airlines, and American put, by the way, one good flight a day between Orange County and LA. They used to have so many flights between LA and New York but no one's taking them. So they took some of the aircraft, which was an A321T, as in Tom, and put it on that. And it has 3 classes. And the business and first have lie flat seats. It's a plush airline. All the airlines spend a lot of money between New York and LA and New York and San Francisco, because that's where all the money is.
Yeah.
But there are some sweet spots like this. So, if you do have to fly, especially last minute, it's nice to have some miles. And what I love about American is you can put it on hold and then decide. The other ones you can put on hold, but you have to usually pay, and then you have 24 hours, except for last minute tickets. Although American's letting you do this lately. So I hope I don't ruin it for everybody. But when I spoke to my dad, he was like, we're on FaceTime. He goes, this phone is just amazing. He's like, he's in a room. He's so lonely, but speaking to him, and he was just like, I'm so appreciative for this to be able to video chat. And I'm like, agreed. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but United, you mentioned United. United doesn't have the best deals, and they have one flight a day or two to JFK. Because they stopped it for a while, and they fly to Newark, and theirs have been showing up at 60,000 latly.
We flew Polaris to Hawaii, and it was quite nice, lie flat and all that.
Oh, yeah. So that's that's my next tip, by the way. So, not all aircrafts or airlines are created equal. So, I just mentioned American Airlines. American Airlines first class between, let's say, L.A. and Chicago is probably terrible. It is terrible. It's just a regular.
You kind of want to know
seat.
what you're going to get. Is it just a big seat and a nicer snack? That's not worth thousands of dollars.
For sure.
We came home on economy from Hawaii. Lisa sprung for Polaris. I don't know why, but she was her deal. So I said, okay. But we came home on economy, and it's not that. It was fine. On
the way back from Hawaii, I usually would fly coach because it's
only
a much shorter
a few
flight.
hours, 4 hours. Yeah,
it's 4 hours and 15 minutes sometimes for 4:30. But if going there is almost 6 hours, so it's nice to splurge on the way out.
And if you're going on a long flight to Asia or to Australia or whatever, it is expensive. But if you can get the mileage and get that lie flat seat, your experience once you arrive is 10 times better.
For sure. But the link I just shared in the chat room, and I'll put it on my Twitter account and put it in my newsletter today. It just has some screenshots of why you want to make sure you look when you book flights. I did an example of LA to Hawaii. Delta flies and Hawaiian, the prices were almost identical.
Yeah.
But Delta was flying a 737 with recliner seats for first class. And it was like $500, and for $531, you could fly on Hawaiian in a lie flat seat.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to make sure you can see what the seat assignments are, the configurations are, and you can also consult SeatGuru.com and find out the actual aircraft and what the seat pitch is, which is basically the leg room. But on that one flight, Delta had 37 inches of leg room. The Hawaiian had 76 inches.
Holy cow, that's a big
So that's why I wanted to fly first class to New York, because I wanted to be far away from everybody as possible. And on the New York flight, first class is 1-1, just the aisle, and one seat. In business, it's 2 and 2, and coach is 3-3. So, the less people around you, the less chances of catching it. And so anyway, those are my tips.
We're in 2 months, we're going to Mexico. And I'm very nervous about this whole thing. And then, of course, in January, we have a trip to Asia, which I'm thinking might even be canceled.
Asia's not happening. I told you this a while ago. I'm sorry, it's not happening in January.
It's funny because this is a rebook of the trip we were going to take in January 2021.
I know. And I remember you asking me, you think it's going to be okay in that following January? I was like, I sure hope so. But
how about our Alaska cruise that we're taking all of our fans on in July? Is that going to be okay?
Listen, who knows? But
who knows?
I do think so.
Cruise.twit.tv if you want to find out about it. Johnny,
you're fully vaccinated and don't have young kids. So you know what? It's worth a chance.
Oh, man.
Maybe.
JohnnyJet.com. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
It is not a risk to listen to Johnny Jet's advice every week. Wow. So Dad's feeling a little bit better. That's good news. He's still in the hospital?
Yeah. And he's like, how long have I been here for? I'm like, just a few days. And he's like, I thought I'd been here for 2 weeks.
It feels like forever. There's only so much Jell-O you can eat before you say, I got to get out of here.
I was really worried. I mean, first of all, the emergency room lost his cochlear implant. No one was with him. And when he can't hear, he literally turns into a different person. And I don't blame him.
Lose that.
And they're like, he didn't have a hearing aid when he came in.
Yes, he did.
Definitely had one.
Yes, he did.
So it took a day for them to find it.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, a cochlear implant's about $11,000 to get a replacement.
Oh, my God.
I was like, you better find it. And anyway, fortunately, they found it, and he turned into his sweet self. So,
yeah, I don't blame him. If you can't hear what's going on, you don't know. It's terrible.
Oh, especially when he has COVID, he's been disoriented. He didn't,
Poor guy.
He was just.
Oh, I'm glad your sister's there. I'm glad he was there with your sister. So that's good news. He at least has family there, right? Can she go in and see him? No,
they can't go in.
Do they FaceTime or something?
Yeah, we all FaceTime. So
poor Dad.
But anyway, he's 92, almost 93. He's lived a great life. It's not a tragedy if something happens to him, because there's a lot of other people who don't get to live that long. And if I lived to 93 and I get to see my kids grow up, have kids, get married,
you say that, but
I will be happy.
Yeah, no, me too. Boy, I'd be thrilled if I got that far. That's 30 more years. If I get that far, I'm happy. I'll run out of money, but I'll be happy.
That's a problem these days.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what's happening with him.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, you don't expect to be going on that long.
No. So, it's a problem. But listen, I'm very fortunate to have my dad, and not only just have him so long, but to have such an amazing father who he never cared about money. He just cared about love, and that's what he gave us. And
I could tell, because you're such a great dad yourself. You clearly were loved as a kid. You don't have any of those weird...
I was fortunate. We'd walk down the street, and if it was a garbage man or a mayor, he would go and just be so proud and say, please meet my son, my kids. And he would just talk that person up like they were the most important person in the world. And it didn't matter who they were. And that's what I was taught. And I really appreciate that. And
well,
it's just amazing.
It shows.
I'm very fortunate.
He's going to be fine. He's getting better.
He does.
Thank God he had the vaccine.
And that's what the nurse said. She just wrote.
Thank God he had the vaccine.
Thank God he had the vaccine.
And Lisa's saying, okay, when can we get the booster? When can we get the booster? Because I had mine in April. Just a few months
my dad had his early.
Yeah, real early.
He got his in February.
Yeah.
So I think that might. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but anyway.
So you think
I just wanted to make
Singapore,
sure I had some good tips
Hong Kong, Vietnam, and Thailand? No way in January. You're probably right. Thailand's going through a very bad spell right now.
It's just not going to happen. And January is just too soon. Although Singapore is talking about opening up.
Well, I wonder what the cruise line's going to do. This will be the second one in a row. Jeez, I thought, back when I booked it a year ago, I thought, by January 2022. You even said, no, that's too soon, Leo. You were right. I'm wondering about Mexico. I was wrong.
I want to be wrong sometimes.
I don't have travel insurance for the Mexico trip because it's with friends, so I might be out on that one. All right, Johnny. We do have travel insurance, of course, for the cruise. And I presume if the cruise line cancels, they'll just give us at least a credit.
If they cancel, they should be giving your money back.
Yeah. They did
That's why you
last
pay with your
time.
credit card. Never pay with a debit card.
They did last
Pay with a
time.
credit card.
Yeah, we pay with an
and
Amex.
do it within a couple couple months before.
Yeah. Thanks, Johnny.
See you later. Take care.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Dave's on the line from Temecula, California. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. My wife's going to be so jealous that I got to talk to you. She loves you.
Oh, what's her name?
Dana.
Hi, Dana.
She appreciates that, believe me. Thank you, Leo. Hey, I have a question about SEO placement services because I have a business and I'm trying to get recognition on, Google search.
Right.
And I was wondering, is it worth doing or is it just better to do Google pay per click? Because I've talked to a lot of people. I'm not a techie guy. So some of these guys seem like snake oil.
Yeah, good for you. You've got a good instinct. Yes. SEO stands.
I know.
Yeah, it stands for search engine optimization. And there absolutely are legitimate SEO companies. And there are also, the way I can tell the difference is anybody who promises you, we'll put you on top of the search listings in X days, that's BS.
Okay.
So Google, in fact, they could actually harm you if they're too aggressive with their strategies to improve your search results. Google can delist you, which would really hurt you. They don't, there are ways that you can get Google's their dander up. And you don't want Google's dander to get up. First thing I would do, there's a lot you can do on your own. By the way, I should say, my company does employ SEO companies. There's an internal debate, to be honest with you. I didn't want to do it. In fact, I'm the guy. I was the skunk at the wedding. I gave a talk at an SEO event in Las Vegas some years ago in which I said, "You guys, this is stupid." They didn't like that. They didn't like that much at all. And I have to say, there is legit SEO out there. But I would start at Google Search Central. Google has a lot of information, trustworthy information, about what you can do to improve the search results of your site. They used to call it Webmaster Tools. Now it's called Google Search Central. And highly recommended. Actually, I know the guy who used to do this, Matt Cutts, who's a great guy. It's in their interest for you to do the right thing and not do the wrong thing. The problem is that some SEO firms will try to game Google's search system. Google catches you at that. That's risky. You don't want to game it. You just want to get the best search results based on legitimate stuff you're doing.
Is it cost effective? Meaning what you pay an SEO placement company versus what it would cost you for pay-per-click?
I would read the Google Search Central first, do what they recommend. That's going to be 90% of what any SEO company tells you to begin with. Okay. So that's cost effective because it's free. Now, if you don't feel technically able to implement this stuff, and I understand some people aren't, then maybe you'll want to hire somebody, but you definitely want to hire somebody reliable, trustworthy, with good reviews, and somebody who's not promising you the moon. There's nobody who can say, I'm going to put you number one for these search words on Google. There's no way they can do that.
Can you make a referral or two?
I actually don't know anybody. I'm sure we use somebody. I don't know who it is. And I've kept hands off on that. So I don't have a name to give you.
With your wide audience, possibly?
They might suggest, but again, there's so much money to be made in this with snake oil that I would be very nervous. Do you not feel? Yeah, read the Search Central. At least understand that will help you. And by the way, they have it divided into different groups: SEO professionals, developer, and business or marketer. And so it's go to the business and marketer page. It's the non-technical version of all of this, and it will help you understand what kinds of things you can do yourself. And then it even has a section decide whether you want to hire an SEO expert. Even Google, says, yeah, there are good. And they have a whole page which I'll put in the show notes. What is an SEO? Tips for hiring an SEO. And as I said, there are good SEOs, and we use them. And a lot of what a good SEO will do is look at the page and say, you need to move this here. This people don't click that area. People don't see stuff in this area, things like that. They will help you make that page more accessible and more successful. And that by itself will improve your search results.
Okay. Yeah, the last guy that I had spoke with, he was telling me, oh, you have to have like 4 or 5 different physical addresses so Google can send you a postcard or something. And he said, we have to be careful not to get the black hand.
Yeah.
We have to make
so if he says that...
I mean, I'm thinking, this is like some type of religion. I have no.
He's saying, don't step off that cliff over there. Watch out.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't do that. I certainly, if you have a physical location, you definitely want to get it on Google Business, which we've done with ours. That's for sure. But you don't need an SEO to do that. That's a simple thing to do. A lot of these things are very simple. They're filling out forms and stuff. There is something an SEO can do to help you with your website to make it show up better in search results. Basically, what they're telling you is same things Google will tell you is what you need to do on a site so that Google can index you properly so that you show up. For instance, Google will tell you this: you need a sitemap. Most web development tools will create automatically a sitemap and keep it up to date. Google uses that when it spiders through your site for indexing. Things like that are not hard to implement, and an SEO can tell you about that. So
okay,
it's if you don't feel like you could do it yourself, do you have a technical guy helping you with the website? Or
well, the guy that I hired to build my website is offering to do the SEO placement, and being the non-trusting human being that I am, I obviously asked a couple of other people, and that's when I really started getting scared, like I was in a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
So,
I
just don't know who to hang my hat on.
Right. The guy who designed your website is the best equipped to implement recommendations from an SEO. So they're going to say things like Google says the first 1,500 words on your website are the only words we look at. The title of your website, of the web page itself, should have the words in it that reflect what your business is, because that's telling Google what you do. Things like that. They're very simple. They're not fancy. Get nervous when you're doing stuff like getting 5 addresses. I don't even understand why that's important. Or,
the reason why he wanted the multiple physical addresses is because my business does business in multiple counties.
Oh, well, yeah, every physical location you have should be on Google Maps for sure. But if you don't have a physical location there, I wouldn't. That's not going to make a difference. I guess what he's telling you is, and remember, Google does do this when you do a search. And again, all of this is in the Google Search Console. They will tell you all this. But Google, and you've seen this in your browser, asks for location permissions. And then when you search for paint stores, it'll give you paint stores in your area. You want to be listed in all the areas you have a paint store. So that's good advice. Right. But I wouldn't do anything that sounds fishy to you, like creating a post office box to give you a presence in that county. Things like that are a little...
It can't be a post office box.
Yeah.
He said Google can find that out.
Yeah, they're not dumb.
Physical address.
Yeah.
He says they send a postcard to it, and then you have to send it back.
That's how they do it. That's right.
Then he said I need a bunch of individual web pages that just have the content that I think you were referring to earlier, like the first 1,500 words or whatever. And he said, but having multiple pages like that with different website addresses that all direct back to my main website.
That's the kind of thing Google sits up and takes notice of. Google's advice, if I boil it down, is have the best content possible on your sites. Make your site really work for end users, and that will give you the best results in the search engine. Now, I think you can go a little farther than that, but you got to be careful about how far you go. So, yeah, you're right to, I think it's not so bad that your antenna went up. If somebody's recommending things like that, non-organic things that are kind of gaming the system, stay well away. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet, home theater. We got your digital photography, your smartphones, smart watches. Our Giz Wiz, Debartolo, coming up in about 45 minutes to talk about some cuckoo gadget. He's kind of the king of cuckoo gadgets. If you want to talk high tech, call me. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call. Just use Skype. Use Skype out, let you call a phone number. Shouldn't cost you anything since it's a toll-free number. Website where I put all the answers to all the questions, including links, is techguylabs.com. You might hear me say, I'll put that in the show notes. That's where those live. techguylabs.com. This is episode 1819. In a continuing effort to solve the world's computer woes, one PC at a time. Michael's on the line from Anaheim, California. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, my friend. Hey, I just needed some suggestions for you. We're getting ready to send the kids back to school pretty soon, and my wife wants to be able to keep track of our 9-year-old, not just location-wise, but text or phone calls, but doesn't necessarily want to give her a phone.
Right.
So I didn't know if you had any suggestions,
So if it was just location, there are trackers like Apple's AirTags, which I carry around, that you could use. But if you want to be able to text them, do you want to make phone calls to them or just text them?
Either or,
phone calls needs a phone, obviously.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. But Apple does sell an iPod that you can use with texting, but it'll need to be on Wi-Fi. You need some sort of connectivity. Right. So if you get an iPod Touch, a lot of people give their kids iPod Touches. They're basically Apple phones that don't have any phone capability. But they do work with messages, and you can put apps on them, and you can track them. But they're not going to do anything at all unless you have Wi-Fi. Now, at school, the kid could probably put it on the school's Wi-Fi, I would imagine. I don't know. It depends on the school. But as soon as the kid leaves school, no, he's not in connection. That's why I hate to say it, but a lot of parents are giving their kids, even kids that young, cell phones. That's the only way they can call you, the only way you can track them no matter where they are.
And there's a couple of different smartwatch options.
Oh, that would be another option. Yeah, Apple has just started allowing you to set up a watch with an iPhone, but and then give it to somebody and not have them have an iPhone. That's expensive because you're going to get an Apple Watch with LTE built in. It will, in effect, be connected. And then, you could use that. If they don't mind wearing an Apple Watch, and again, a 9-year-old's going to have to cooperate with this because if they take it off, then you won't know where they are.
Yeah, that's probably one of the harder parts. All right, I just wanted to know if you had any ideas.
Yeah, an Apple Watch would do it. You can set up a watch for a secondary user. Apple did this specifically for elders and kids. So, do you have an iPhone?
No, we're an Android family now. But,
Okay. So, then there are Android Wear watches you could use. Actually, the best bet might be this new Samsung. They just came out with the Samsung Watch 4. They're a little big. A 9-year-old, it might look a little gaudy on their wrist, but I guess they could carry it in a pocket. And those can be purchased with LTE connections so that they're always on the phone network, which means you can send a text, they can answer a call, and you'll have GPS location wherever they are. So that's
if there's a way to lock them down so they don't have access to different apps and stuff. Because we just basically wanted to be able to do the communication.
Yeah, the watch would work. The watch has very few things that would be worth a 9-year-old spending any time on. They're not going to be any great games or anything. It's just basically going to be a wristwatch. But it's hard with a kid that age to keep them wearing it. But maybe put it in their backpack. I think the Galaxy Watch 4 is probably the way to go. That's coming out at the end of the month. About 2 weeks, you'll be able to get that the 27th. Otherwise, there are Android Wear watches from Fossil and other companies. They're not quite as good, but they probably have enough oomph to do what you want it to do. You probably will want LTE if you want messaging and phone calls. You'll need to be on a network, but it's not like a smartphone. It's just a watch, and the screen is too small to be really anything a 9-year-old. Oh, of course, never underestimate the ability of kids to find fun in anything. Chat room's given me a link to bestproducts.com, the 12 best smartwatches for kids who don't need a smartphone yet. There are some kid designed watches like VTech's Kitty Zoom, but the tracking is going to be, I think the cheap watches are not going to do the tracking. Verizon does sell a Gizmo watch that will have the GPS in it, so that might be the solution for you. That's inexpensive. You have to have a Verizon account with it. It's $100 for the watch plus the Verizon account. Yeah. Check with your phone company, because that might be another solution. And those. Go ahead.
I appreciate all the info. Hey, and are you going to put that in the show notes?
We'll put it all in the show notes, including that link. They also mentioned the Apple Watch SE. Problem with that is somebody has to have an iPhone to set that up. So since nobody has an iPhone in the house, that won't be a great choice. And Garmin makes a fitness tracker for kids that is, but I think it's only fitness. That's the problem. You really need that GPS, and that's the thing. And the other thing about the GPS, that's for location tracking, is that's going to kill the battery. So the kid's going to have to get in the habit of charging it every night. Maybe mom will, but somebody's going to have to remember we got to charge this tonight so that we can find out where Junior is tomorrow.
All right, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. Good to talk to you. It's a good question. The industry's trying to respond to that. They want you to be able to do that. Apple, of course, Apple's response is, oh, sure, as long as you own iPhones. As long as mom and dad have iPhones, we got a solution for you. That's very Apple, right? But if you're Android, I think there are going to be a number of Android watches that will work with that, starting with this new Samsung Watch 4. I've ordered one. It should come on the 27th, so I'll be able to talk about it in a couple of weeks. In 2 weeks I'll be able to give you an early review. They're big, though. They're big. They're going to be pretty clunky. You might want to hang it around the kid's neck. They're going to look like they got a little bling around their neck here. 8888 Ask Leo. If you've got a better solution, let me know. Call that number. Or, of course, as I mentioned, there's a website, techguylabs.com. What I didn't mention is there's a comment section there. So you can always add to the website. So if you hear this and you say, oh, I've got my 9-year-old's been using Watch XYZ, please go to techguylabs.com and add that in the comments. This is episode 1819. It's call 1 from hour 3. You can drill right down to it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Our Club TWiT members in our Discord server have recommended a couple of trackers for young folk, kid trackers, if you will. I have no experience with these, but I will mention them. There's a Guardian Angel GPS kid tracker. Protect your child with a GPS tracker with an SOS function, so you can locate a lost child instantly. That sounds pretty good. And there's one, it's from the UK. I don't know if it's available in the US, called Back to You, BACK, the number 2, YOU, personal GPS tracking providers. Personal trackers for kids, lone workers, the elderly, and your beloved pets. Oh, they do sell it in the States. So we'll put a link in the show notes to both of those. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. If you have a comment, you want to add something, let's go to Hatfield, PA. Good friend Jerry on the line. Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Leo. I have two things. I have a PSA and a question.
All righty. PSA first.
Okay, last week you were talking about the hydrogen refueling and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a guy in New Jersey. He makes his own hydrogen. He runs his house, his car, his boat, and motorcycle off his own hydrogen. And
wow.
Here it is. hydrogenhouseproject.org.
How does he make the hydrogen, just out of curiosity?
He uses solar cells, electrolysis for the water.
Ah, At small scale, that makes a lot of sense. There, you know, we were talking about this with Sam, our car guy. He'll be back tomorrow. And there just came out a study on hydrogen. And, of course, there are 3 ways to make hydrogen: gray, blue, and green. Most of the hydrogen we get these days is from blue hydrogen, which uses high heat, pressure, and steam to crack the methane. The problem, of course, is the methane itself. And this study said it's actually probably as bad as burning coal, blue hydrogen. But what he's doing with electrolysis on a small scale, it sounds like a great way to do it. I mean, the whole idea, the whole issue with these alternative fuels is how can we take a renewable resource like wind, hydro, geothermal, or sun, something that continues to pour into our ecosystem, and turn it into the kinds of energy we need to run our houses, our cars, and so forth. So what he's doing is taking sun energy and making hydrogen out of water.
And storing it.
Yeah, storing it, yeah.
Look at the video. I think it explains it all.
I will watch the video. Say it again.
HydrogenHouseProject.org.
Kind of cool. I will check it out. Thank you.
Now, here's my question, Leo. Last week, I get a paper bill in the mail, paper bill, okay?
Yeah.
From my local water authority.
How annoying is that?
It's not. So I open it up, and also they include a folder with all they were doing here and all they're doing in that. I don't care. I just want to pay my damn bill.
Yeah, yeah.
So I opened up. So I'm looking over the paper for contact information, how to get a hold of them. Right? I can't find it. So
it's not on the bill. There's no phone number on the bill.
No, they don't want to be bothered. So I go to Google. I type it. Now it's called North Penn Water Authority. In my area, there's going to be at least a dozen different North Penn in the beginning of the company name, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
I type in North Penn. First thing, before I even type anything else, comes up Water Authority. Google has put mind reading software on my computer.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's really.
Here's my guess. You're not the only one in your area trying to figure out how do I get a hold of these bozos. So what Google does with these autocomplete, it's actually a very sophisticated technology. It is, of course, based on things you've searched for in the past, but also your location, knows where you are, and things other people have searched for in your area. So my guess is that there are a lot of other people looking for North Penn Water Authority.
I could have said to myself, where is North Penn? And I had my phone right with me, so the phone might have picked it up.
No. And this, by the way, I hear these stories all the time, these anecdotal stories. Well, I was talking about baby ducks, and all of a sudden in my Instagram, I got ads for baby ducks. I think it is pretty much impossible for your phone to be monitoring everything you say, extract keywords from it, and upload it. Not impossible for them to do, impossible for them to do it without being noticed.
I think you're an agent.
I'm speaking on behalf of my dear friends at Google. Who No, I'm just as paranoid and concerned about privacy as anybody. But we also, I think it's important not to go crazy, not to start cooking up conspiracy theories. And the easiest way to kind of defend yourself against that is to just really think about the logic of it and then do some research. We do see traffic coming and going from our phones all the time, but it's pretty clear that it's not sufficient to reflect that kind of tracking. They could do it in theory. They could do it on phone, and the phone could do some training. And then, it's certainly the case that Google communicates. If you have a phone where you're using Google for searches, that search goes into your account. You're signed into Google. And even if you're in incognito mode, it goes into your Google account, and Google uses that information to help make future searches better. Their justification is, look, we're just trying to give the search results people want.
I'm not buying it. Leo.
Maybe they're just mind readers. It's possible. It is absolutely true, and I'll agree with you on this, that what we underestimate, look, a lot of this stuff has been public forever. What we underestimated was the power of combining massive databases with high-speed computing and and gathering tools like smartphones, we underestimated how powerful that would be. And now, because we're all using smartphones and computers, and everything we do is logged and recorded into a database, and then cross-referenced, it is amazing what Google and others like them, Facebook, know about us. They really know almost everything about us without even actively like looking at the contents of our phone. They don't have to listen to your microphone to know what you're up to. And so that is the case. You know, I'll give you a good example. Home sales have always been public record. But in order to get that information about who owns that house next door, you'd have to go down to the county recorder, you know, and file a request. And somebody would go back and pull out the records and go through the records and say, well, it looks like it's owned by this person. But now, thanks to armies of people who are doing that in every county seat in the country and then uploading it to a database, it's easy to do internet searches for that kind of thing.
Leo, don't discount remote viewing.
Now, Jerry, I know you're being silly, but do you actually think they're listening and watching?
Well, I think maybe they're monitoring my cell phone microphone.
No, they're not.
You know,
I can promise you they're not. They don't. And the sad fact.
You're an agent.
The sad fact is, they don't need to. They've got all the information. You're giving it to them every day when you do a Google search.
Yeah.
You're giving when you fire up that browser's sending back. We know that your location, where you are, what you're doing. All that information Google already knows, and Facebook. And the worst thing is that sites are collaborating with one another to combine what they know with what they know with what they know into one centralized database. And that's very valuable. You know who mostly it's valuable to is not the spies, not the NSA, not the FBI. It's valuable to marketers. It's advertisers. So you can say, I don't like this invasion, and I don't. But it's, at this point, as far as I know, not being used in a malicious way. It's just to give you ads that you like. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's a good question, though, Jerry. You think, though, that like, so I know a lot of people refuse to have an Amazon Echo or a Google Assistant in their house. He hung up. Or Siri. I know a lot of people like that. But... and, it's possible. And it could be that your phone is also, I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much. I'm wearing tight jeans right now. Yeah. No, I'm not. No, I'm wearing mom jeans. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Is there a song, Professor Laura, musical director, called Mom Jeans? Because that would be my song. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. A little early to start the disco. We will be discoing in moments with Mad Magazine's maddest writer, Dick Debartolo, and his Giz Wiz. I was talking. One of our callers is a expert in vintage clothing, vintage hats, and he wonderful guy. And he was explaining to me. It was off the air though, a couple of weeks ago, that men's pants. Remember? You ever watch I Love Lucy? And Fred Mertz would come in, and his pants would be like a high. And sometimes we've seen older folks wear their pants really, really high. He said everybody wore those pants that high in the old days, up above their tummy, right below their breastbone. But pants makers realized they could make more money if they used less material. So the hip hugger became fashionable, not because people wanted pants that would fall off your hips, but because it was cheaper to make and they could charge the same amount. So, profit. Things you never knew you'd learn here on the Tech Guy Show. Leo on the line from Anaheim. Hi, Leo. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hi, Station Leo. This is Hunt for the Red Leo.
All Sean Connery all the time. I'm with you on that.
That's right. Alec Baldwin, he was really good in that movie.
Oh, what a great movie that was. Oh, well, are you talking about Hunt for Red October or Ice Station Zebra?
Well, Ice Station Zebra, who knew Rock Hudson was the way he was when he did that movie? But I went to see that movie at the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood.
Me too.
Did you? Oh, man.
Well, but not in Hollywood. I went to see it at the Cinerama Dome in Teaneck, New Jersey with my grandma. 1968. I was 12.
Well, the interesting thing, Leo, is they made only 4 real, true 3-camera shoot Cinerama movies.
Really?
And they made the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood.
Yes.
And I guess other places, strictly for that format. And How the West Was Won, The Brothers Grimm.
Yep.
This is Cinerama. And there was one more that I forget the name of.
We saw one called, I think, Circus World. I'll never forget it because my grandma bought me a big box of malted milk balls. I ate the whole thing, and the movie made me sick, although I think it was the malted milk balls. But yeah, remember how you'd be watching the previews in the Cinerama, and then when it was time for the movie, the curtain, which was at a normal width, would go even farther back, and you'd go, wow, that's one big screen. I remember that.
Several years ago, they cleaned up How the West Was Won, frame by frame.
Yeah.
And
I'll have to see that.
Very,
it's a great movie.
I'm an avid Cinerama.
Is there anywhere you can see Cinerama? Well, I guess the Cinerama Dome, although it's in jeopardy. It's closed right now, isn't it? Because the owners went belly up.
About 6 years ago, there's a director that said, I'm going to clean up How the West Was Won and get it to where I can broadcast it or show it again at the Cinerama Dome, and he did.
Nice.
Well, the sad thing is, he didn't clean it up good enough, and the whole movie had a jitter to it.
Oh.
And I was expecting it to be seamless.
Yeah.
He had a lot of time to work on it.
Well, they needed to go digital is what they needed to do, and then you won't have that jitter from the projector.
I waited for about a year and a half to go see it.
Oh.
And you're sitting in the theater with everybody else, and all of a sudden the screen opens up, and it's so impressive.
Isn't that cool? It looks like, believe it or not, there's good news for the Hollywood Cinerama Dome. It looks like AMC is going to take over the ArcLight complex and may, in fact, reopen it. So AMC has acquired Pacific Theaters. So I'm hoping that they reopen it. It's been up in the air, and, of course, a lot of people in the movie industry have been very upset because that was, of course, that's legendary. It appeared in a lot of movies itself on Sunset Boulevard there.
There's a format, there's a Blu-ray of How the West Was Won, and it came out in the Smile edition, which they actually concave the screen or the picture on your screen to give you the effect of that wide angle shot. And it's interesting to watch it that way, but they haven't brought it out in 4K yet.
No, we need to, I don't know. I would love to. It was curved, wasn't it? The Cinerama screen? It was slightly curved around you.
Well, it wasn't curved. It was concave to where.
Concave. Yeah.
This is the best way I describe to people. I tell somebody to just look forward, put your hands on the side of each eye. Now take your hands away. That's what Cinerama is. Once your hands are taken away from your side vision,
you get your peripheral vision. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I call, Leo, before you let me go.
This has been a great trip down memory lane, but yes, we should talk about whatever's on your mind.
Yeah, I called about 2 months ago, and I was having problems with HDCP, the content protection.
Yes.
Well, I couldn't find a way to hook up my system to where I didn't have to go through my receiver through the ARC inputs.
Yes.
So where I could get everything linked together. But I started playing with the switches and the HDMI cables, and I found a way that I hooked up the Dish Network receiver directly to my television.
Yeah.
And for the sound, I went directly to the receiver, bypassing the ARC, and everything works perfect.
Good.
And
how's the lip sync?
Well, it's fine. But
Good.
Using the little splitter that I bought from Ore, it took away the content protection, and I was hoping to get through today to talk to Scott, because Scott also has Dish, and I wanted to find out if he watched the Field of Dreams broadcast in HD.
Oh, I would have been something. Yeah, so it's interesting. These Chinese converters, we discovered this too. They can't bill them as removing the copy protection, but in fact, many of them do. But you can't go on Amazon and find one that says removes HDCP. But we have found that many of those converters do, and it's kind of a secret feature they don't mention because it's illegal to do that. But I think there are a lot of reasons why you might want to, without that meaning you're a criminal or a pirate. You just want to be able to have a flexible system.
And I told Kim the reason I called was when the live broadcast appears on my screen, it's kind of dark.
Yeah.
And I was hoping Scott would still be there. And would you know why the HD broadcast that's live, for instance, Field of Dreams baseball game
on Dish, is dark.
Yeah.
Your TV's not putting it. Well, you would notice, I think, if it was putting it in 3D mode.
No, it's not in 3D mode, and I've done everything as far as the picture enhancement, go into dynamic and heighten, increasing the brightness. But it's on all of the HD programming and just a live broadcast.
Boy, this rings a bell. I feel like I've answered this question, but I, for the life of me, don't remember what the answer was. Why is the picture a little bit darker than it ought to be? Oh, I know what it is. Dolby Vision. So I do remember this now. So I'm going to guess Dish is sending that out in a HDR format that's incompatible with your TV. You need to check and make sure that your TV is capable of the HDR version coming to you from the Dish. That some of the HDRs look darker if your TV can't decode it properly. And I think Dolby Vision, that's a particular problem with Dolby Vision. If your TV supports Dolby Vision, make sure it's kicking in, because sometimes it doesn't. You'll actually see a Dolby Vision logo in the upper right-hand corner. That's a known problem with HDR. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, the Giz Wiz, coming up. Let me see if I can find... I do remember we had another caller with this issue. And I think it comes down to the HDR problem.
Well, I have a brand new 85-inch QLED Sony.
Which does...
not Sony, I'm sorry, Samsung. And it has everything on it.
Well, I'm going to put in the show notes an article from Wired you could search for, why your HDR looks too dark on your TV and how to fix it.
Okay.
So that will have the critical information. If your TV, by the way, not everybody supports Dolby Vision. I think Sony, in fact, has decided not to. So I'm going to just see if I can find, I'm going to log in to be able to read this article, unfortunately. I hate it.
The only broadcast is Fox Sports. And they broadcast some football games and baseball games, and hopefully this NFL this year, some of the broadcasts will be in 4K. And
it's the HDR that's the problem, not the 4K. Now, your TV does HDR, but if it doesn't decode the HDR that is being sent by Dish, that could be a problem. Why HDR seems most modern LCDs are capable of 300. HDR is different. Blah blah blah. I'm just looking at this article. I put a link in the show notes to the article, and they quote Robert Heron, my dear friend from AV Excel. He says, "All right, yeah."
Well, Leo, since you have a link and a contact to Scott, ask Scott to find some Dish.
I will ask him.
He has Dish also.
Yeah, I'll ask him about that. Sony does do Dolby Vision. It's Samsung that doesn't do it. That's right. So, but sometimes it's a question of getting the TV to recognize it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Well, actually, I don't know why I gave that number out, because it's time for Dick Debartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer and our gizmo wizard. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing, pal?
I am well. Just to finish our thought with this dark picture, Dish apparently, when it sends out 4K HDR, will only support a 4K HDR format called HLG, which I'm hoping your nice new Sony TV will do, but it may not be recognizing it. No, that doesn't stand for the Horticulture Lightning Group. It's it is a kind of HDR, high dynamic range, and I bet you if the TV didn't know it, it wouldn't do it right. Most TVs want HDR10. The newest is Dolby Vision. Hybrid log gamma, HLG, is kind of an offbeat system. It's a good system, but you got to make sure your TV is recognizing HLG and turning it on. And I bet you that's what the problem was. Now, sorry about that, Dick. Is your air conditioner on?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Is it your air conditioner?
Fan is on.
Your fan's, because it's a little warm in New York?
Yes. It was, let's see, when I went to bed at 2:30, it was 86.
No. It shouldn't be that warm at night. That's the one thing I don't like about the East Coast is hot summer nights.
Yeah.
You can't
But I have a
sleep.
working air conditioner, not like your office.
Yeah, mine's not working. It's a hot summer day here. It's almost 80 degrees.
I should buy one of those things from last week and throw ice cubes in it and have that fan.
I hope you've brought us something equally junky today.
Well, I do. I bought a fun thing. It is the Rise Pro portable rechargeable shower. Okay? So this is any place you have a bucket of water.
Oh, no.
You can have a shower. Now, the great thing is I've used it twice now, neither one to take a shower. Watering the flowers outside the studio, I go out with a bucket of water, and it's kind of hard to throw a big bucket. So I just dropped the pump into the bucket, and then I used the shower head to water the flowers.
So on one end, there's a bulbous pump, which is what, battery powered?
It is rechargeable. There's like a 2200 milliamp battery.
Draws the water out of the bucket or whatever you've got in the bucket. You could be tequila. You could have a tequila shower, a little margarita
tequila,
shower.
Absolutely.
And then the other end has like a
keg of beer.
A normal shower nozzle. Yeah, you can put in a keg of beer, any kind of liquid, and then you can shower in it or water your plants.
Yeah, or if you're going camping and you don't mind cold water, drop it into a stream.
Oh, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, okay.
But you could boil some water, heat it up and do that.
Yeah, yes.
So how does it work?
So basically, you just turn it on. They tell you, drop it in the water, stick your hand in the water and turn it on. You're not supposed to run a pump dry. But basically, there's just a little on-off switch. I turn it on right above the water.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you drop it in the water, you really don't hear any noise because the water pretty much muffles the noise. And then suddenly water comes spraying out of the nozzle. And you can do 2.5 gallons, they said, will give you a 5 to 7 minute shower. And with a full charge, it can run for 60 minutes. And it's kind of neat. It comes with a two-way accessory to hang the shower head. So there's a suction cup mount. So if you're next to a building or a wall or something, you can use the suction cup. Then you stick the nozzle into that, and the nozzle has ridges on the bottom, so you can aim the nozzle where you want it.
This actually seems like a good idea. I'm thinking it can't possibly work well, but is a lot of water come out? I mean, is it like a trickle?
No, it's a fair amount of water. Actually, I made a little video of me watering the plants outside on the website.
I'm glad you didn't take it in the shower. That's good. Thank you.
No.
Thank you for that.
No, it's certainly sufficient for taking a shower. And down at the boat, I had a little emergency where I had water in a place that I don't have a pump, and I dropped this down in there, and I used it as a mini bilge pump.
It's a bilge pump.
As a mini bilge
posing
pump.
as a shower. So I'm watching your video. You put it in a bucket. So 2.5 gallons of water would give you a 10-minute shower.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that looks pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah, 5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7, okay.
With 2.5 gallons of water.
This is actually pretty clever.
Decent.
How much is this?
Yeah, $30.
Could you use it? You probably wouldn't want to use it too often with seawater.
No, once I drained the bilge area,
then you want to
put it
rinse
in
it
a bucket. Yes, exactly. I put it in a bucket of clear water. So
I think that's clever.
The only thing I don't like is that the power. Instead of it uses USB, but it uses a USB pin instead of like micro or USB-C.
Yeah, so it's a proprietary power dongle.
Yeah. Not too much, because I said, I actually lost this.
Yeah.
And then I said, wait a minute, I have another gadget that uses one of those pins. And it turns out that maybe the pin is kind of standard for these things, but it did work to recharge the shower.
Oh, that's
But
interesting.
it'd be easier if it was USB.
Type-C. Just get a nice Type-C.
Type-C, exactly.
Yeah, like everybody else uses. So if you want to get this thing, you should probably watch the video. The Rise Pro portable shower. Dick's got the video and a link to buy it on his website, which is gizwiz.biz, gizwiz.biz. And if you click the big blue link that says the Giz Wiz is the tech guy, I'll take you right there. In fact, everything he's ever recommended, good and bad, is on this website. So you can see all the silly things. But this one is not so silly. It seems like it might be silly. But I think it's kind of actually a cool idea.
No, I think it's worthwhile because you can use it for other things. I think it's great for that.
So Myra's saying you did the weather on CBS FM. Was that recently? No, she's talking about somebody else. I'm sorry, Myra. I shouldn't. I didn't mean to distract you from your side conversation. Forget I said anything. Go to gizwiz.biz. When you're there, you can see what the Giz Wiz recommended on the show, but you can also see lots of other stuff, including the What the Heck Is That contest. It'd be nice if you did the weather on CBS FM. I'm not saying you shouldn't. This looks like it could be the Rise Pro portable shower. Just from a different angle, but I'm sure.
Oh, you know what? You're almost right.
It's the same color, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. If you identify this either correctly or incorrectly, you'll be in the running for Mad Magazine. I got the new one. You just sent it to me, and it's over across the room, so I'm not going to run and get it.
That's fine. Then no problem.
But Sportacular. It's got Alfred E. Newman riding a horse on the front, but he's wearing a football helmet and playing boxing, or I don't know what he's doing. It's many sports on one horse.
One horse, he's carrying weights.
That sounds like fun. Do you have some stories in this?
Yeah, I have the Mad Guide to Skydiving.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
What, just give me a hint.
You know, I forget what I write. I rarely read what I write, but I read the opening sentence and I actually laughed. I said, when you go skydiving, the ultimate thing is you must be wearing a helmet in order to protect the earth in case you land head first.
Seems like a good idea.
Yes, exactly. For people who love this country, that's the earth. You want to protect it.
Protect the earth with your helmet when you jump out of an airplane. If you would like to win a copy of Mad Magazine autographed by this guy right here, go to gizwiz.biz. Play the What the Heck Is It contest. All the rules are there. He's also got lots of other great stuff. It's a fun site to browse around. Gizwiz.biz. Don't forget his podcast, where he has more junk like this. Gizwiz.tv. Thank you, Dickie.
Inexpensive gadgets.
I'm sorry. Did I say junk?
Yes.
I didn't mean that. Thank you, Dickie D.
Okay, buddy.
Have a great day. Thank you all for joining me. Thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director, and our phone angel, Kim Schaffer. Thanks to you for being here. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, TWiT. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.